So once again, here we are with the vlog. Yeah, there's been a bits all over the place this week. There was, of course, the Cloudboy sojourn to the IGA around the corner. I'm waiting on the footage to get that back from Rich so I can do some editing on that one. That was a lot of fun. It was pretty weird as well, actually being in normal space in a costume. But it's a very different experience to when you're actually at a festival, when everyone's like, so you're in a clown suit, you're in a space suit, you're dressed as a cowboy. That's normal. Suddenly being in a very normal situation wearing something like that, space like Cloudboy, it's kind of odd. It really actually makes the suit appropriate, because you suddenly realise just how normal and odd the world actually is. At least that's my perception of it. I also really do like this metaphor that's kind of coming out, if you want to dig into it. The idea that the spacesuit and Cloudboy are metaphors for my art and my way in the world with my art, and literally carrying around the burden of my art with me. And no one sees it. They don't see that extra thing that's going on for me, and then actually putting the spacesuit on and going out. It's like, oh, everyone suddenly sees this other thing going on. And it, again, the armor metaphor, this elaboration and decoration of yourself, and this constant evolution of what it is to be an artist, both internally and externally. And the longer you go on, the more it becomes an external thing, and it's very interesting. You can dig into it and you can go crazy, or you can, I think a lot of people just don't even go there, but I find it interesting because there's a conversation going on when I'm doing my work, and Cloudboy is one of the longest conversations. Yeah, it's weird. Tinkering with the suit a little bit, just adjusting some of the padding. Almost forgot these, because I'm doing this gig for my friend where I'm playing the security for a conference on play. I'm going to have this big suitcase. It's an old ABC camera case which I'm going to use as my kind of little base on a table, and it's going to have lots of stuff in it that I can improv with, because I like a prop. So does Cloudboy. And anyway, I made this great little thing. Whoa! Hello! It's a big long aerial. It used to be a duster. There's a little baby hand on the end, so I'm like, I can just come up and pat things. Give me all your money, like things like that. Fun to play with, creep people out. Finish this baby. Feather duster! Very happy with that. Lots of gungy steel work using graphite and paint on it. You want to make something look metallic? Rub pencil on it. Works a treat. Look at that. Looks like it's made out of a huge chunk of metal. Fortunately, it doesn't sound like it. Anyway, that's quite nice. Yeah. Gets a little squished, but I'm also doing the preliminary work for the hatchery. This is the plan to the hatchery. I'm not used to doing plans. I generally build everything in my head. Because this is big and I'm building it with Callan, I have to do plans, because if I get this wrong, it's going to fall over or break, and it's big, and that is an issue. So what I've got here are the rough estimates. You can see here there's this central tree section, and we're discussing the structure for this and the metal that's going to be used and how we're going to build it, because I have you got to have the structure, but I want a certain aesthetic as well, and I want this curly bark kind of thing on the outside, but there also has to be these tubes you see here which have the branches coming out of them, and then a smaller set of tubes which have these metal arms that take more of the weight and give a bit more structure and spring to the branches, as well as holding the pulleys on them. So consequently, I've got to work out the size of all of this, because I've got to get actual plans done. Then I've got to work out how much metal I need. So this is all these things up here. And then I've got to work out what the base size is, because also, like, if the base isn't big enough, the whole thing falls over. And of course, since it's going to a festival, it means idiots are going to try and climb on it or use it as a podium for dancing. So here's a little look at the base, and even though this central section is going to actually be bolted straight into the base, which you can see the wheels here, I want this aesthetic of ribs of metal coming out and being bolted onto the thing like the base of a tree. I think it's going to work, and I think we're going to go for a hexagonal cross section on it, which really means that I've got to get the measurements right, but Cal will help me build that bit. Once I've actually got that structure, then I can actually go to town doing the fun decorative stuff. But he said if you don't get the structure right, then you may as well not bother decorating it, which seems logical. And then here is a little close-up of the pulley system right at the end of the branch. The rope will come up and it'll go through the pulley and then through this little guiding ring. And here's a little clip that goes, the branches will come through here. That's the plan. And it's all going to be nice bright colours, and it's going to be great. Well, I hope it's going to be great. Got a bit of work to do yet. Got 2 months. The metal for... Oh, hello, Gaia. Hi. The metal for the hatchery arrived. So I've got this nice big sheet of, I think it's 1 mil steel. I got some square section and lots of rod. Oh, there you go. Oh, what have you got? Oh, you've got your rubber toy. So I'm doing a little bit of drawing. I've got a little bit of time to spare before I go out for a meeting and pick some stuff up, and rather than just procrastinate in the studio, which is the worst thing to do because this is a creative space, I thought I would return to a drawing that I've been playing around with for, well, I started it ages ago, and then I thought I'd just lay down the first part of what I think is going to happen with the ink work. It's just a black and white, but I'm playing off of some old school cartoon. A specific piece in mind is an old Tintin piece from way back. I think before Tintin was actually a comic book. I'm putting in a fake stipple, and I'm very much of a mind. I like to kind of play around with styles, and I like to, if I can achieve an effect in a more kind of hackneyed way, rather than maybe go out and buy some technology and do a really fancy way of doing it, I'm going to go for the homemade version of it. And I like using what's around me, so I wanted to put a stipple down. Stipple is what printers used to use to create shade. I could go into it in a bit of detail, but it's complicated. Moyers and gradients and all this kind of crap, but basically it's a way of creating shade with dots, and you see it if you get a magnifying glass and look at a newspaper very closely. You'll see stipple, it's dots, but you see dots of color, but this is dots of black and white. I wanted to spray in the stipple rather than actually just do the dots before I put in my line work, so I'm designating shaded areas. And can see down here, there's lots of tape. This is low-tack painter's tape, and it's transparent, so it's really good once you've done a drawing to actually lay it down, and then you cut out the areas that you want to have colour or, you know, stipple or whatever it is. It's a mask, and you can see through it, so you can work out where those areas are. And so I designated some areas, and then I masked everything off, and I covered the whole thing with paper to cover up the rest of the paper. And then I put this over it, and this is a piece of metal with holes in it that I got from Cal's studio. Then I lay down the grill over the areas. I spray away with my trusty airbrush with just a mix of black ink and a little bit of water just to water it down. And then what you do is, this is the really fun bit, this is the bit I really like. You then take off all the masks. And now you can see that I have a really nice stipple over the shaded areas. And what I'm now going to do is go in with a dip pen, which is one of these babies. Very old school. So good though. This is just the best. You can get such beautiful line with that. I'll show you that as well. I don't know, there's something about it, I really like it. It's imitative of a particular era, and it's such a nice effect to be able to play with. And you know, you can do it other ways. You could do it by hand, people do it digitally. I really like nuts and bolts. I like the chaos of working on the page. I mean, I use these sharp pointed split pin dip pens on rough watercolor paper. Absolute no-no, because they just get caught in the ruts and they spatter ink and they're unpredictable, and I just love it because I love the paper and I love the pen, and I'm not going to change. It's great. Alright, I'll show progress of this later on. So I finished the drawing that I was working on. A little different from what I was expecting, but quite nice at any rate. I had 2 points where the ink splurted out. One there, and I think there was one in there somewhere. It was a fault with my pen, which I've now corrected. It's a dip pen, so they're pretty sketchy. But yeah, it come out quite nice. You can see this, the nice the work with the perforated metal came out quite nicely. Again, a little bit more detail than I was expecting. I was thinking of something a little bit more Tintin-y, but yeah, nice piece. It's all right. So this drawing is a prelude piece to Cloudboy going out and about. Metaphorically, the idea is he's packing his bag and getting ready to go out and visit the world. Maybe it's my way of preparing myself as well for that adventure. So there's a few other pieces I want to do. There's one I'm going to do based on the little trip to the IGA, which I still haven't shown you. I'll do one of him in the supermarket, of my imagination, lots of elaboration in that one. Yeah, so I think that's everything for this week. Yeah, there's been the drawing. Pretty good.